When I first came to Australia, I had one of the biggest conflicts, internal conflicts of my life. Now, I would have been about 12 or 13 from memory. I couldn't really relate to most people because there wasn't too many Muslims in my class. And there was one girl I remember. I think her name was Alicia or something. And she looked a little bit Muslim, like she was like brown skinned, her name was Alicia, so I put those two together. And I remember one day I went up and I talked to her just because I really was interested in seeing another Muslim. So I just asked her, "Hey Alicia, are you a Muslim?" When I asked that question ruined my entire childhood, bro. Wallahi. She looks at me like with a weird, confused out. She starts like getting like really anxious out of nowhere. Starts looking around. So I just walk away because I'm like, "Whoa, I don't what's going on? What did I just do?" I walk away into a different table and I'm sitting there. The teacher comes up to me a bit later after talking to her. Like I see Alicia like whisper something to her teacher's ear. Bro, I was terrified. The teacher comes up to me and she says, "You were discussing something that we don't discuss here." I don't remember exactly what she said, but she got really mad at me. She said, you don't go around asking people questions like that, okay? Okay, you got it?" She got mad. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was like a little pussy back then, so I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, of course." So I thought that was all. I was like, whew, my heart was beating, like my stomach was like really tangled up. I was terrified, but I was like, finally, it's passed. Couple hours go by and I go to my next class. One of the Korean girls that was in that class, I see her talking to people like that went to that other class and stuff, like during lunch break. And when I go into the class afterwards, everybody was acting really weird towards me. Normally everyone was super nice. Everything changed from that day forward. Everybody avoided eye contact with me. I looked around, everybody was trying not to look at me, right? When I went up and tried to talk to someone, everybody said, "Go away." Everyone, it seems like something that they've discussed before. Like before I came in, obviously that Korean girl would have told them what happened. She probably made up some stories because it's women. She probably said that guy is like a terrorist or something, or he's like a racist against like non-Muslims. This was, even up to now, I'm 22 years old, that was the most painful experience of my life. It didn't just go for one day though. Every single day, every day that I was going to that school, it would have been about 2 or 3 years. Everyone saw me as some sort of a terrorist. It felt like, imagine there was like a gay guy in like a Muslim country. That's what I felt like, bro. I remember even just one time we had sports day shortly after that, and we were playing cricket. And if anybody knows me, I'm really bad at every sport except for fighting, right? So what I did was so embarrassing, bro. I tried to swing the bat and I accidentally threw it, and it like flew and it almost hit one of the other guys. And like the teacher got really mad at me. She was like, "Boris, you can't play anymore. Sit down in the side. What's wrong with you? You're a dangerous man. Sit down." Like, you're really mad at me. I don't say anything and go sit down, and all the people from that class, they pay attention to me for the first time and they all start laughing at me. Like, "You are dangerous." Like, bro, what the hell? You threw a bat? What's wrong with you? It's like, it was literally like 12 kids from the class like coming around me and making fun of me. Bro, and for someone who just came to a new country, who doesn't speak the language, this was so traumatic, bro. I went from like being around people that I can relate to, that I have fun with, joke around with, to being the guy that everyone hates and I'm not civil to anyone. Like that gave me more anxiety than anything else ever did. That really made me ashamed of being a Muslim. I'm gonna be completely honest. I felt like it was like a bad thing, it was a controversial thing. I felt like I didn't even know what it was properly. I would have, keep in mind, I was only like 13 or 12 years old. It felt like something I had to follow. It was just a part of my race rather than something I chose. That's the mentality that I created in my head, and that led to so many problems in my life. Because of that, like later in my life, I sort of had like two different identities. Like I would be a Muslim on one hand, but I sort of related it to my race. I was like, I'm brown, so I'm a Muslim, but it doesn't stop me from doing all these things because it's not something that's like I chose, right? Like it was a huge conflict in my head. So it led me to doing a lot of haram things. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to expose any of them, but I'm just going to be honest here. Alhamdulillah, bro. It made my faith a lot stronger later on in my life when I witnessed all the crazy things that the kuffars were doing. Like, I noticed how crazy their life is, how chaotic without any faith. And then I looked back up my family and I was like, why does my family not have these issues? And I realized it's purely because we had Islam growing up. When that light bulb went up on my head, I started to do research, I started to read the Quran, and I started connecting the dots. Every single issue that I saw in the Kuffar's community was solved by Islam. Every single one of them. I'm talking about the women, talking about the family units, I'm talking about the dynamics of men and women. Everything that I thought was weird about Kuffars, before I was really educated on Islam, I realized how powerful Islam is. And that solidified my faith more than anything. I was like, this has got to be the truth. Everything I've done since that point was connected to my deen. Making this video right now, I want all the Muslim men to watch this. And I want this to solidify their faith. I want this to be like a reminder of why we are so lucky to have Islam in our lives. And a reminder that no matter how many haram things you've done, we chose Islam. It's not something that's been like, it's not a part of our race. Being brown doesn't make you Muslim. Any white person can be a Muslim. Just because you are brown doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean you're a Muslim. It just means you're brown. For all the Muslims who follow me, I want you to use the same approach to dealing with stressful situations in your life. Now, I've had many stressful situations in my life. That was just one of them. It was the worst one. But I've had situations where I was really, really sad. I wouldn't say I was depressed if I believed in depression, but I don't believe in it. But I was really, really sad, bro. Like, I've had times where I've posted some like things on social media where it was like, I'm sick of living, like I just want to die, like stuff like that. Stuff a lot, bro. So I know what I'm talking about here. The way I fix these things is I started finding halal pleasures. I started finding enjoyment in things that were halal. I started going to martial arts. I talk about this all the time because it was such a turning point in my life. Halal things like wrestling is halal, right? So I'll go to wrestling, I'll go to mosque after. And those two things really like put my mind in the right place. Like I'm praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then I'm going out and fighting. It's like, there's something about those two activities that go really well together. Like Habib, all these Muslim fighters, they can really attest to that as well. So if you go pick up some halal hobbies, you know, like martial arts, one example, go play soccer, go work out really hard, to go make like YouTube videos like I do. All these halal things that you can do that make your life better, that make you feel better. That's what you have to pursue, bro. Forget about your own judgment. You don't know anything. If we just leave you to your own thoughts, you're gonna be drinking, you're gonna be like trying to pick up women in clubs and stuff. I promise you. Islam is a guideline to how to live your life. Subhanallah, bro. Subhanallah. I want you to identify all the halal habits that make you feel good. Maybe it's running, maybe it's teaching, maybe it's learning things, and really stick to that. All the haram things will disappear when you really pursue the halal pleasures, I promise you. And as long as you're praying right, those habits are going to become connected to your deen one way or another. For example, if you really like to train fighting, I keep using this example because that's the main thing I know. But if you keep training and you are praying, you're going to eventually start finding the barakah in it. You're going to start teaching people how to fight and making men stronger, more masculine, and that's going to give you points like sawabs, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. If you got any value from this video, give me a like. If you want to learn a little bit more on how to find your purpose and combine it with Islam, or you need some help like getting out of a rut like I was stuck in, there is an email in the description. If you email me any questions, I'm happy to answer anything. If you want the consultation, we can talk about that as well. If you haven't done your prayer, go do it right now.